I first took a small piece of 16mm diameter aluminium. I drilled it through with an 8mm diameter drill, and now I'm about to drill it through again with an 8.5mm diameter. I used some lubricant during the drilling process. I have my tap wrench set up so that I can thread the 9mm 0.5 thread into the hole. I've got the tap wrench squared up using my tailstock so that I know that the tapped hole will be perfectly parallel and square. Fairly standard process, tapping the hole just backwards and forwards, and I'm going to end up with a really nice thread. I'm using a bit of lubricant on the tap so that I get a really clean cut. So that I know when I'm getting close to the 8mm length I want, I've put a score line at around about 8.5mm, and then I can finish it off to get exactly the 8mm spacer length. Taken it out and measured the length. I'm exactly 1mm long that I need to be. So now I can use my digital display here and zero everything so that I know that I've got to take exactly 1mm off. Or what I will actually do is take just a fraction less than a millimeter, and then I'll measure it again, because I can't put the stuff back on again, but I can easily take just a fraction more off. Take 0.7mm off. Now I'll remove it and I'll measure it again to see how much more I've got. I'm at 8.41, so the next cut I'll make it around about 0.3mm, and then I'll measure it again, and I should be right. Got it to 8.06mm. I think I'm going to call that done, because I don't want to take the risk of getting it any less. Ready. I've got my spacer finished off. I've got this is a lens that all the inside has been removed from, and I've had to trim that to slightly less length so that everything is going to be the right dimensions when it all goes together. So that I start by just screwing that all the way in, making sure that the slotted part is on the outside. That's so if it gets jammed in there or anything, I can use a screwdriver to get it all the way home. And it's almost bottoming out now. As you can see, there's a few threads left out. You only need 3 or 4 threads at the most, because that'll be enough. Then we screw the spacer on, and that just do it up finger tight. Don't use a wrench or any pliers or anything. You don't want to strip the thread because it's only holding on by a few. And now the lens is all ready. I've put an O-ring on it, and when I screw that all the way up, it should just about start to compress the O-ring. Okay, there we go. All right, and I can feel that's doing up, and that's just bottoming out on the O-ring. So I'm going to be pretty right. I'm going to do some final measurements and just make sure that the distance between the back of this to the face of the lens, the face of the lens and the back of the spacer, I know it needs to be, from my previous measurements, around 14.4 to 14.5. Some lenses may vary slightly, O-ring may vary slightly, but I know that that's a really good place to start. So once that's done, I will now screw that back